Okay, so hey y'all, welcome everybody. I am broadcasting today. I'm coming from the rehearsal audition hall where I'm auditioning folks for Black Conference today. So I don't know. I don't know how long we're gonna go. First of all, I don't know. I'm doing this on my phone, which I don't normally do. It's not for me the most fun way to do live streaming, but hey, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to go. I actually have the next person's not coming until about noon, and so hopefully we'll be able to get some chatting going on. I'm going to hang out in space for a little bit, and then I don't know. Hopefully we'll be able to chat for a little bit. Ananda, how's it going? Good morning, and welcome to the live stream. So today I want to keep it real light. And by real light, I want to talk a little bit. Hey, hi. So, come on in. Everybody get settled. Get your, as Yvette says, pour your libation, all that stuff like that. So, I might need to grab myself some water. No, I think I'm okay. So, talk a little bit about my last video, and I've talked about this idea for the next couple of months. I'm going to be focusing a little bit on like ideologies, mythologies, and I'm not sure exactly which topics that I want to cover as far as mythologies. I definitely want to focus on gender and gender roles and mythology around gender roles. I certainly want to focus on some mythology around race. I want to focus on mythologies around wealth and around poverty. I'd like to focus on some mythologies around patriotism. So I don't know. All right. Get your decaf, Ananda. So I don't know. It might be a really light day today. I don't know. I also feel really weird because I usually have a lot more, around me, and I feel like I'm right up on top. Am I clear? Can you hear me okay? And I'm guessing, I'm not sure about my connection either. Is the connection good, or am I fuzzy? Am I broken up? Am I pixelated or what have you, or is that good too? I'm hoping that that's good. So the other thing to remember is that, this is going to probably be watched by folks who just really wanted to know what I had to talk to. I did freeze for a second. So I think one thing that is going to be good is for me to be as much of a talking head as possible and not move around too much. I'm not on a wireless connection today. This is just on whatever is available. So I don't know. I'm not sure my carrier. Sprint. This is Sprint, y'all. So if it's fuzzy today, y'all know that's Sprint. That's Sprint. So, but one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit were the reactions to my last video, where I was talking about the way that racism shows up in my life. And I proceeded to tell a story, very simple story. I tried not to embellish too much and simply tell the story as it happened. And it's very interesting to me because some people, were just like, yeah, that sounds like what it sounds like. And there's this, I feel like there's a wonderful thing that happens, especially when people are old school, real old school. Hey, Theos, welcome. There's a thing that happens when we hear people talk about their experiences, whatever experiences, good or bad, right? If it's about a date that they had. And I imagine when we are engaged in conversations in life with people that we tend to give credibility to the person who's speaking. Like if somebody tells me about a date that they had last night, I would not ask them, well, are you sure it was a date? Are you sure that person like saw you as a potential romance partner? Do you know what I mean? Are you sure it was are you sure it was a date, or was it just that this person went out with you and they thought that you were a friend, right? I tend to um, find people credible, right? I try, and if I don't find them credible, I walk away from that conversation, right? If I'm not believing what the person is saying, why stay in the conversation? Good morning, Tom. So why stay in the conversation? So the idea that I could tell a story, and because something about that story makes feelings rise up. Oh no! If this story is true, then that means that that means the dark specter of what, racism, sexism, whatever, all these things. So that can't be true. So this immediate attempt to discredit the words of the person, and that's so rude. Y'all, it's just so rude, right? Who would do that? Could you imagine having a conversation? Can you imagine you're having a conversation with somebody, and in the middle of the conversation they say, "Did that really happen?" You know what I mean? It's just rude. It's just rude, right? I mean, the worst is just nod your head or don't comment, right? Or don't comment. And certainly we're in a space where we're trying to have dialogue about things. And so you might ask questions. You might ask for more clarity about what happened. You might say, was there any other reason that this possibly could have occurred? Was there anything that the person did that might, right? You can ask questions about that, right? But to assume that the person is seeing things, right? To assume that the person is either lying, or to assume that the person is not competent enough to analyze the situation that they were in and feed it back as what it was, or at least how they perceived it, right? And I think that's another thing, is that sometimes people aren't telling you the story to say what others are doing to them. Thank you, Theo S. Thank you. Thanks for bringing some vegan consciousness to the live stream. So yeah, so the thing to keep in mind is sometimes when people are telling you a story, they're not trying to express to you what someone has done to them. They're trying to express to you how they perceive of the actions of others, right? And so it's really not about it was this or it was that, right? They're trying to express to you how they're seeing the world. And something to be understood is that the way people see the world, people should be given credibility for the way that they see the world. And we should understand that the way that individuals see the world is based on their concrete experience of the world, right? So if someone, for example, has experienced a lot of violence, for example, they may consider the world a violent place, right? They may consider the world a violent place. If someone has been immersed, submerged in fearfulness for their entire life, they may move through the world as a fearful person, right? Experiencing things in a fearful way with mistrust, right? It's not that they are accusing the world of anything, but their worldview is one that is born authentically, right? It's born in true experiences, the things that have happened to them. So for us to question someone else's viewpoint in that way, as opposed to possibly asking questions that might problematize that viewpoint and allow them to question it themselves, but not for us to question it, right? So to ask people like, why do you think that is? How often does that happen? Or and if it's not something that if it's something that has happened often, what do you think it is about the environment that you're in that makes it possible for that to happen so often, right? So that we problematize the lived experiences that people have, so that we're not constantly shutting people down or telling people that they're wrong, but we're trying to find out why that is right for them. Trying to find out why that's right for them. And this even comes to, like, this is why it's not necessarily, having a dialogue about racism. If someone is misogynistic, right? I don't want to have a discussion about why misogyny is a correct way to be, but I do want to find out how they grew to that position, right? I don't want to help them to justify it. I don't want to meet them in the middle and say, oh, sometimes misogyny might be. No, that's not what I want to do, right? But I might want to find out how they became misogynist. What is their worldview, right? And then we can start to unpack that with them. So maybe they got it from a family member. Maybe they got it from friends. Maybe the kinds of movies that they watch reinforce certain attitudes about women. And so then we can, have a real conversation about the reality that they're living in. And maybe ask them, questions about, what is it about those films that have led you to believe this way, or this thing. And you might ask them questions about the people in their lives, like their mother, their sister, other, women that they interact with, and to find out if some of the things that they have spoken of in a general way are true about the people that they know in their actual lives. Question that I've started to ask people who that I perceive as having racist ideologies or carrying racist ideologies, or do you know any people of color? Like, do you know people of color in your life? And not like, do you see people of color in your daily life, or have you seen a person of color on television, right? But do you know a person of color intimately, whose home you've been to, who you've had shared meals with, that you've had conversations with, that you've been to funerals with, that you've been to weddings with, right? Someone who's an intimate friend. And does that person match the story that you've been telling yourself about people of color? And my guess is those individuals they're not going to see a match between the people of color that they know in the real world and the people that they imagine based on the ideology that they've been fed through various channels, right? Right. Ananda saying, I live around, I don't see colored people, right? And there's so many people who tell me that they don't see color, but then they'll tell me a story and they'll point out every detail, every gender thing, every color thing, this Latino guy, this black guy, this guy, that guy, but they don't see color. But when they're telling me story, and then they'll tell me that, well, I was just trying to offer details. But if you don't see color, how can color be a detail if you don't see it to begin with, right? And so this idea that people don't see color, they don't see color as long as everybody behaves the way they want them to behave, right? But as soon as somebody behaves in a way that they don't believe, it's because they're black, it's because they're Latino, it's because they're Muslim, right? Suddenly that color, I don't know. I shouldn't say right, because I shouldn't assume that my opinion on the matter is valid, or the authority, right? That I'm the authority, right? But something to think about. So that's what I've been thinking about a lot this week in response to this simple little story. It was such a simple story, y'all. It was such a simple story. I walked in, I ordered a coffee. Somebody walked in and ordered the same order as me. I went over to wait in the pick up your order here. They didn't go to the pick up your order there. They actually stayed over by the register, I suppose. Maybe that was why they got their coffee first, because the counter person thought that they were going to steal some money. I don't know. I was trying to get rid of them. But it was such a simple story, right? And the part of the story that I didn't include, because I didn't think it was so important in just the analysis of the event itself, because this part of the story doesn't happen that often. This part of the story is where I feel the liberatory practice. We were engaged in liberatory practice. When the person said to me that, and it's okay. And I said, yeah, unless you take into consideration the last 500 years of racial subjugation. And we all laughed. We all laughed. You know, the counter person, the person who was making the coffee, and myself, all people of color, we all laughed, because that's what I think is really wonderful about the Black people that I encounter, that I meet in my life, is that Black people don't tend to get too bent out of shape about the way that racism shows up, right? Because that's like getting bent out of shape because they're bugs. You know what I mean? There's bugs. There's just bugs, right? There's just bugs. You get some, you get some whatever you put on yourself to stop the bugs. You know, some people use citronella. I try to keep a citronella plant handy. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that you're going to do to keep the bugs away, you do that, right? Tom Hall says, I spent a lot of time thinking about that this week. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what, and I apologize because this is going to be a bad week for guesting, although I would be happy to if somebody can walk me through the process of trying to guest someone from phones. Ananda says, we swat the bugs away without even thinking, right? Yeah, we just, right? And I even try to be mindful of that, because my sense is, what, just because I put up a building, why should I feel like now that those insects were there before that building was there, right? But we put the building up, and then suddenly now we want to be all fussy about where insects can be. Maybe for them, we probably do a lot more destruction. We're probably a lot more destructive to their environment than they are to our environment. And there's a purpose for their being there, right? There's a purpose for those insects to be there. Our houses sometimes are overkill and not as necessary as we might think they are. Not that people don't need shelter, yes, but some of our shelter is overkill, just in terms of its size and its, the way the decor that we decide, how we power things, the amount of energy that we use in those spaces. So, yeah. But there's this idea, not as so much overkill. So this idea that we get used to things, and so this whole idea of people think, I think it gets so uncomfortable. What gets so uncomfortable, I think, to people who aren't used to conversations about race, is that when, at least in my experience, I'm having people who are not people of color, and when I'm having conversations, obviously, with Black people, when I'm talking about race, it's about the movie that I saw last week. It's just stuff that is, and it's a story. It's a story. It's your life. What am I not going to talk about? My life. I'm not going to talk about. It's not like I don't talk about good things too. I talk about good things as well. And there's a kind of a celebration of one's resilience in the way that I believe that, well, at least for me, there's a celebration of the resilience of Africans when I talk about racism, because despite the hatred that's been directed towards people based on the color of their skin, those people are still here and thriving. And I'm sitting here having a talk on a phone in a beautiful space right now, surrounded by some beautiful instruments, y'all. I don't know if you can see them, but the walls are kind of covered with these instruments that have been restored, repaired by the person who owns this space at Jalopy, which is a theater and a music school on the Columbia Street waterfront in Brooklyn. So yeah. So that's some stuff that I've been thinking about. So some updates. I think in my last video, I talked a little bit about the fact that we are almost done casting this play, and there were several roles that I thought were going to be the easy roles to cast. I was really excited. Last week we had someone come in and read for W.E.B. Du Bois, and that was the role that I thought we're just never going to find anybody to play W.E.B. Du Bois. And an actor walked in who just was amazing. They had the look and they had the deportment and all that, and that was wonderful. But been having difficulty finding an actor to play Bayard Rustin, an actor to play Thurgood Marshall, which I thought they'd be, there's a movie about Thurgood Marshall. I thought everybody would be like, oh yeah, I want to get to play Thurgood Marshall next. So finding someone to play Thurgood Marshall has been a challenge, and we actually, the actor that we'd cast to play Vivian Marshall, we lost, and so now I'm considering another group of actors to play that role. So that's what's happening today. If that all goes well, we will start rehearsal on the 2nd of April. So we're still a little less than a month away from starting rehearsals for Black Conference, and we'll have about 2 months to prepare the show. Some really exciting things that I think it's okay to go ahead and announce is one, there is a U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives, and if I haven't been clear, the Black Conference is an exploration of cooperative economics as practiced in communities of color through history, really from slavery to, and the play itself is set in 1939, so it's really up to 1939. And the idea for the play came to me reading a book called Collective Courage by Dr. Jessica Gordon Nemhard. It's available on University of Pennsylvania Press. And so, Ananda, that would be awesome. And there are several things. There's going to be several options, and so I'll be announcing them as they come. But continuing with Black Conference, and so reading Black Conference, reading Collective Courage, which is, as again, Dr. Jessica Gordon Nemhard's book, and I'll include some links here so that you can see some interviews with Jessica Gordon Nemhard. So reading the book, there's a point in the book where there's a discussion of W.E.B. Du Bois and his urging the NAACP to include in their strategy, along with civil rights legislation, to support cooperative economics, because they had been, up to that point, a real strategy, or an effective strategy for lifting communities of color out of poverty, and a practice of solidarity amongst communities of color. And the NAACPs continually said no, and eventually there was a split. The W.E.B. Du Bois left the NAACP, which was an organization he was one of the founders of. Tom Hall says, the better you know someone, the more their color seems to recede into the background, right? They become a person. And they become a person. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, absolutely. W.E.B. Du Bois leaves the NAACP because they refuse to support this strategy of economic justice through cooperative economics and racial solidarity. And so this play is a bit of a fantasy. It's what would have happened if the NAACP had held a conference on solidarity, basically the solidarity economy, which is now, there's kind of a boom, right? We're hearing about the New Economy Coalition, and we're hearing about the social solidarity economy. We're hearing about cooperative economics all over, right? These things are starting to have a resurgence. And so I feel like the play is a perfect opportunity to introduce a lot of people to the concept of cooperative economics, the solidarity economy, and specifically demonstrate the history tradition of this kind of practice in communities of color, right? And doing it in a way that's fun, right? Because it'll actually be a conference, and you'll go and you'll get to hang out with all of these people that'll be there. All right. So all of that said, this national organization, and y'all, here's going to be the terrible thing. I'm going to end up with low battery life, so let me just make sure that I'm plugging in. Forgive me. This is so sloppy, y'all. I should have been way more prepared for this. Anyway, so with that, there's this national organization, which is the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives. Excuse me one second. Foul. Wait, here, let me see this. Brilliant. This YouNow app is working for me right now. Okay, so I hope that's okay for everyone. So I just plugged in my phone. So anyway, this national organization, the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives, they have a not-for-profit branch called the Democracy at Work Institute, and they throw a conference every couple of years. And this year, that conference is going to be in Los Angeles, and I believe that that Black conference is going to be have its West Coast premiere, and probably the premiere of the cooperative touring company will be at this conference. So that's a really cool thing to know, that this group of actors who are going to be starting this play in Brooklyn have as their trajectory presenting the play in Los Angeles. So I know that there are some folks that are on the West Coast. I'm not sure exactly where they are, but there's a chance that you'll get to see the show in the fall. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be coming out, and regardless, I will be going out to the national conference in September, and I believe it's September 14th through 16th. So mark your calendar, and you can actually look it up. It's the Worker Cooperative National Conference, the 2018 Worker Cooperative National Conference. I'll put a link down in the description box below. I was also approached by the New Economy Coalition, and there was a suggestion that we bring at least part of the play, if not the entire play, to St. Louis, because I believe the 24th of June is a date that I'm sort of like seeing as a target. And if not, bringing the play to go and have a conversation with Jessica Gordon Nemhard and myself, talking about the process of bringing this play to life. One thing that I can't stress enough is that this project probably would not have happened without the generosity of Jessica Gordon Nemhard. And my hope is that I will get Jessica Gordon Nemhard to guest on this live stream one day before we're done, and just to have something captured for all of you. Oh, do I need to? Well, that's terrible that I was sideways, y'all. Excuse me, because it was showing me that everything was okay. It was showing me that everything was okay, and now you're telling me that it was sideways. So I'm going to do this. Again, apologies for technical difficulties. Okay, so there we go. Is everything okay now? No, there's no video editing. This goes up like it goes up, and then it's going to be. And you know what? That's live television, y'all. That's live television. So what else? What's been up? What do y'all want to talk about? I'm probably gonna keep chatting for like another 15 minutes because unfortunately I have another group of people coming to audition, and so I want to be able to get myself set up for that. But what else is there? Anything else? We may end early. We may end now, because I just wanted to give you guys some updates, wanted to talk. I didn't want to have no live stream at all. That would be stinky, but I'm not at home. I don't have my stuff around me. I'm like sitting here in this chair looking at my phone. It's one thing when I'm in my little swivel chair and I have my water and my beverages and things like that, but it's a little different to be here. Is there anything else? Everybody keeps asking me that, y'all. I promise you, not only am I going to Wakanda next week, but I am going to do a review of Black Panther. Yes. Theo, I'm laughing at you. That was a nice, good counterpoint to colorblindness only crowd. Y'all, maybe you want to go to Wakanda, because here's what can happen. We could go to Wakanda and we can have a conversation about Wakanda. We can have a conversation about the movie in the next live stream, but then that would mean we'd be full of spoilers. But I definitely am doing a review of Black Panther, and I don't like hype. I don't like hype, and I didn't see the movie soon enough to beat the hype, and so now it's been so Right. I don't get hyped about things. I want to see them. I want to see them like when no one is going to go see them, right? Thinking no one's going to go see them. And now it just broke $1 billion or something like that. And I don't know what that means in terms of box office. Is that like the most movie ever made in the history? I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Here's what happened is that the movie opened and Chris and I had to go, and then Chris was actually on the West Coast, so Chris went on a little vacation for about 10 days, and so we weren't going to be able to see it. And then this weekend, I have the auditions and we have a board meeting later on. But yeah, maybe we might actually go. Maybe we'll go to Wakanda today. So yeah, I might go even today. I might even go today. Somebody said, Remote Bear said, not even close. And by not even close to the highest box. I don't know. What do I care? What do I want to care about how much money a movie made? You know who didn't make all that movie? It wasn't, if they were going to give all that money as reparations, maybe I'd be excited about it. But they ain't going to give all that money as reparations. So, I don't know. I don't care. I don't care that much about it. But I do want to see the movie. And so I might go today. And if I go today, that means that you all will be seeing a review of Black Panther tomorrow. In fact, I might need to get off this phone right now so that I can call and arrange to go and see Black Panther as soon as I'm done with my last audition. Because I had another board meeting that was scheduled from 1 to 3 that got canceled. And is Black Panther more than 3 hours long? Does anybody know? Loto, thanks for becoming a fan. I heard there's some colorism issues within the movie. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. How about you try to go see it today? Try to go see. If you haven't seen it, try to go see it today because I'm gonna do my review of it tomorrow, and then you can let me know if you. Yeah, it's probably 2-3 hours. Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing it is. Although I've been finding out more and more that these directors are making these movies 4 hours long. Like the original cuts are like 4 hours long, and then the studios are saying no, you can't have a 4-hour movie. You don't get that. You don't get that. Shannon Williams, it's your first time on YouNow. It's at least that's what it's telling me. So I'm welcoming you to YouNow. So what else, y'all? What else? No intermission. No intermission. Yeah, although they've done that, right? There have been some. They used to do that. They used to go to the movies. Oh, man, Blender, what's that? What's up? I'm gonna tell you this. Yeah, I haven't been talking about it much, but the Pedagogy and Theater Review press conference is coming up. I'm actually going to be in Pittsburgh. For next weekend. Next weekend for a retreat, and I'm flying in, so I won't be driving through. But I don't know. How far are you from Pittsburgh? I don't know. It would be cute to like meet in the middle and grab a coffee or something. If it weren't too much of a trip, but Pennsylvania is big. And you're not that far in from my side. You're more like on the more eastern Pennsylvania. So I don't know. They did that before smartphones. Oh, they did things like long movies and intermissions before smart. Yeah. Listen to me. I am going to see you this summer. I'm going to definitely see you this summer. The conference is going to be in June. So there's going to be a couple of days when I'm going to have a car. I'm actually going to have a car when I'm there next week. So if the timing works out, I could realistically drive your way and then drive back. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to hit you up offline about that. So yeah, things to be excited about. Folks who are in St. Louis, you want to see me in St. Louis, and that's going to be, like I said, in. Did I fix that? Here's the story with that busted car that I will never drive again. I will never drive it again. My husband's brother is going to Detroit to pick up the car. He lives in Ohio. He's going to go and pick up the car. He's going to repair it. I think he's going to use it as kind of like a vehicle to haul things around. on their farm. Yeah, that car is going to a car sanctuary. Um, so yeah. Um, I just had a little bit of a creepy thought because they keep they keep animals. So I hope that the car is not going to get used to like do things to animals, bad things to animals. I'll ask my husband about that. But chances are there's going to be a new car, and the goal is to have this car be a hybrid car. My vegan nephew's dad, yeah, and you guys, so people remember that my nephew is going vegan. Yeah, he's been sending me pictures of his food, and it's vegan. Yeah, he's been sending me pictures of his vegan meals. I'm excited about that. And my niece, in that same brood of nieces and nephews, uh, tried to be vegan, and there was some pushback from the family. So my sense is that with my nephew and my niece combined, there's going to be more pressure to kind of get the family to be more vegan. Okay. All right, Ananda, thank you for quietly following. But yeah, so all of that said, and Mad Blender just said, "Be right back," but we might not be here when Mad Blender gets back. I'll stay here for a little bit longer. Are there any questions that you all have for things that are going on, threads that I perhaps have dropped? Because I've dropped a lot of threads, and trust me, I know what they all are, and I eventually get to things. Things marinate for a long time up here sometimes before they finally get executed, but I tend not to drop things. I just think I'm a long-term person, a long-term person. There are snippets of music that I have thought about when I was like 6 that have ended up in pieces of like full compositions, like now, like are just ending up in compositions now in my 50s. So I just think that that's really kind of cool. What did you do in the coffee situation? What did I do? We actually ended up laughing about it. All the people who were involved ended up laughing about it. Did I let the customer know that I was first? I feel like at that point it was up to, by the time they're giving the customer the cup, I was a little blindsided by it. I'm going to tell you, when the coffee was going into the customer's hand, my attention was really on the employee, because the employee went into this weird zone where it was like they knew. I don't want to read too much into it, but there was, concern. Like it was like, oh no, I'm giving this to the wrong person, right? But it kept going, right? And at any point they could have stopped it. When they first had the realization that they were giving it to the wrong person, they could have stopped and turned and given it to me. But somehow in their mind, when they were like thinking, oh, I could stop, I could give it to the right person. Oh, what is this person? Is this person going to get mad? Like all of the thoughts, there are so many thoughts that could have gone through that. They were in the sunken place. Ananda, woo, you took us there. You took us there. And they couldn't get out. Get out. They couldn't get out. Yeah. No, I haven't. Food Not Bombs. Food Not Bombs is the bomb. And I don't know if you know, but Food Not Bombs ended up doing food for the conference last year, which was, we decided to go all vegan, and they are mostly vegan. Sometimes they do kind of a freaking thing with breads that may have, traces of milk products and things like that. But for the most part, they are vegan. And so, yeah, I did learn some more about Food Not Bombs. In terms of guerrilla gardening, I've been actually reading up on that for a little while. I unfortunately I'm not ever where I can do, in terms of Brooklyn, there's not places to, there used to be lots where you could just do some guerrilla gardening. Not right now. There's in New York City, there's a kind of a weird housing thing that's going on, and all the lots are being built in. So all the lots that were here even 5 years ago are gone. But Theo, thank you for asking about that. Yeah. So are there other so I'm trying to think, what other questions do people have before I bounce today? We might actually end up getting to an hour. I know we won't actually get to a full hour because somebody's gonna walk in on us, and I don't want that to happen. But what other questions do you have for me? Again, talking about threads that have been dropped, things that that you'd like to have me pick up, that you'd like to see prioritize. So through a little bit of funk. I didn't sort of maintain the same subscriber. It's like I have a decent number of subscribers for somebody who is very inconsistent in terms of posting videos and doesn't really have a target audience. I just make videos about things I'm interested in, and I don't really advertise. So I feel like it's a decent number of subscribers. I can't complain, but there was the threshold 300 subscribers. I don't know, but the fact that there's still growth, even though I have not posted a lot, I'm really thankful for folks who have been hanging in there and continuing to consistently not only watch but contribute. I don't even know what that means. Prosperity vegans not caring about anything but themselves. I hope that's not true. I hope that there's not anybody really out there that only cares about themselves. I mean, there's on the spectrum, right? On the spectrum, to some extent, we all are out there trying to just stay alive, right? And if our lives were threatened, what we would do to maintain ourselves, who knows? But I really do think that naturally we're like communal beings. Like we're communal beings. We're not about the solo thing. And I think some of the alienation that people experience and that sense of like me is a manifestation of the alienation that's created by like the artificial things. I don't know. Theo says we have to reclaim the fields movement here in the UK. It sounds like Theo that you'd like to see a video on this. So if you want to include any kind of, you can always hit me up on my channel. You can always private message me and send me some things that you'd like me to read up on. You would not be the first person to do this. Several of my videos, many of my videos have come from people sending me an email about something that they wanted me to look into, and then I checked it out, and then I just made a video about it. And I'm always looking for other things to make videos about. So please. Yeah, they pretend like nothing else is going on in the world. Yeah, Ananda, I gotta push back on this. I've been going to the gym, and I talked to you all about this, about like the screens, right? The screens are everywhere, and the messaging that people are getting every day. There's no way that people aren't being transformed by the messaging that they're getting every day on that television screen. And every day on the television screen is telling you that to be a human being is to have. Not to be a human being is to be. To be a human being should be to be. But to be a human being in our modern, at least Western culture, is to have. And in order to have, you have to get. And they've made getting so hard. To get, you kind of have to be ruthless. To have all of the things that you're supposed to have to be a human being, to be appreciated as a full-fledged member of society, you have to be ruthless. Yeah. Theo S says, cool, yeah, I can definitely send you some information and links, but no pressure. My videos like introduction to all the movements going around. Yeah, send me, just at least make sure you send me the link to the video so I can watch your video. And I'll certainly recommend it. Yeah, please. Y'all know. Okay, so listen, everyone, this has been interesting. It's been It's been interesting. Hey, Ziggy Stardust. It's been interesting. Like being in this space and having this conversation. There are people around. It's not really a private space. So people have like been hearing the sound of my voice. I don't think that people are necessarily listening in. Yeah, you mean like obey, consume, submit. Yeah. It's so interesting because people come in and they just turn them on, right? They just turn them on. Like even on the, like I usually, I'm on a treadmill or an elliptical that's facing the wall, so I don't have any screens in front of me except they build into those units little individual screens, and people get on and automatically they just turn on the screen and just start staring at it. And I'm like, ooh, just think. Use that time to think. Use that time to think about all the things that you don't have time to think about. You're going to be there, if you're going to do like, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever you do on these machines. What a time to reflect. What a time to reflect. It's like, no, right? Zone out. So, yeah. But, so anyway, y'all, I am going to try to make a couple of videos next week. I'm not promising anything. I have been able to do, if I make one a week other than this live stream, I feel like I'm doing pretty good these days with all the things that are going on. But that said, I really appreciate y'all for showing up today. And hello to all the new people. It was nice meeting those of you who are new to the live stream and to Reg Flowers. You can also check me out on YouTube, Reg Flowers. Reg Flowers is the channel, and that's it for this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, like it. If you like it, share, comment, subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourselves.